Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Hello, welcome to today's Ag Market Blast with myself and the amazing Angie. As usual, Angie will give you a rapid roundup of the latest pricing flows and market moving news in agricultural markets. Let's just wait for her to join. I could also, in the meantime, tell everyone that it has started because that's always useful. So let's just get a post out for that, shall we? Here she is. 1 second, and it's live. Invite co-host. Select Angie. Oh, 1 sec. Bear with me, caller. Invite co-host. There we go. All right, I'm giving Angie the power. God help us all. Oh God, can she hear me? I hope not.
It is I am here. It is I come. I don't have any gifts though, but we are here on time. So look at us go.
Exactly right. Let me quickly get the legals out of the way. Nothing discussed on this basis session constitutes trade or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PRQ Global Limited Trades, PRQ PRQ Suite, or the host, which is of course, as you know by now, Angie and myself, Ryan.
Yay! Woohoo! All right. Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. I am currently living inside a snow globe. We have lake effect snow happening here in Michigan. Ooh. I get to drive to the airport here in a bit too. And fly out. Boy, are my arms going to be tired. I'm going to use that joke tomorrow again too, just to warn you. Yeah, I don't fly very often anymore.
Second, I thought, what is she on about? And then it dawned on me, and you might have seen my eyes roll from the other side of the Atlantic.
That's what it's totally fine. That's what I'm here for. Happy Tuesday. That's what day it is. Market wise here this morning, obviously yesterday. For those of you who weren't necessarily paying attention or maybe weren't keeping score at home, but now are, we saw the markets soybean market added another 28 cents. That puts our soybean gains up to about 53 cents, give or take here, over the last couple of days, which is pretty phenomenal, especially considering, it's the Mark Twain, like rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. That's the bean market right now.
Yeah, yesterday morning when we went live, we were on air as the markets opened and it was looking pretty sour, and equities, it was a whole risk off kind of vibe. And on the whole, I think it took a tweet from Jim Cramer saying it's going to get worse, and up we went.
Yes, that's all it takes. I really wish he would start talking about how bearish he is wheat or something. Like that would be nice because we could use a shot in the arm. But yeah, so we started the day a little bit meh, and a lot of folks had expected a bit in the way of a sell-off, after Friday's gains, a correction, which to me, like, I think we have to be careful in just kind of understanding maybe what Friday's report did to the market structure, because, I was talking to a few of my growers yesterday, having this conversation about corn and in the corn outlook. And, I've been pretty vocally bullish corn here since the end of the summer, like throughout the month of August. Like, yeah, I look like a pretty rosy idiot, because we just kind of continued to carve out new lows, right? As I'm screaming, it'll get better, it'll get better. But I have been, relatively bullish based on demand, just overall demand. You look at the world, days worth of use available and things like that without China, and we're down to the lowest level in 11 years. We just don't have the supply availability that we all, felt like we would see, even 6, 7, 8 months ago. All summer long, we had this idea we were going to be 2 billion bushel plus carryout for corn. We're now looking at a 1.54, 1.55, whatever, with an idea that demand continues to be strong. Now, the argument, of course, is whether or not corn demand is front loaded. But I will continue to say, a lot of folks want to be like, oh, corn exports have slowed. Yes, they probably have slowed. I mean, they were exceptionally aggressive. Prices were historically cheap from a cash standpoint. But when it comes to like where you're going to source additional bushels as a world corn buyer currently, there's not really much in the way of supply to tap into of consequence that's of good quality. outside of the US. So, reality is we're probably going to need to see the USDA continue to kind of ramp up, or maybe they'll do it incremental. I mean, they're going to do it incrementally because we just don't know what's going to happen with Trump trade, which is point two. But, now the whispers of, we went from a 1.5 billion bushel carryout whisper. That was kind of the internal sort of conversation that we were having, to where it's like, okay, well, what if it's closer to 1.3? What does that mean? But then on the flip side, now, we had this kind of idea in soybeans that we could give up millions of acres, 2 million, 3 million, whatever. People are liking to talk about corn acreage in the 95, 96 million acre range, or whatever, up 5, 6 million. Like, is virtually impossible. Like, with the soybean yield adjustment that we saw, the production adjustment that we saw last week, which could be offset partially by a reduced export figure going forward, but only slightly. Basically you removed the ability to lose 2 million acres of new crop soybeans. And so we're going to have a bit in the way more of an acreage battle, I think, than what traders thought we were going to have to. But the hardest part right now is just kind of changing that mindset and going from, oh my God, we're drowning in supplies, to, wait a minute, maybe it's a little bit tighter than what we thought. Now, soybeans are hard because we don't know what world vegetable oil demand looks like,
Right,
but we
right,
do know we have a shit ton of
right.
beans, right? We know that world supply is up. Like,
Can you
we're
make
at
that
the
noise
the
again, please?
yeah, we have a lot of them. We need to use them. We just don't know the extent of which we are going to. And so there's still a question mark there. And still a bit of a question mark there when it comes to overall production. I will say the one thing too on soybeans, and then I'll stop babbling about this part. The one thing about soybeans is we almost lost, upwards of 1 billion bushels of imaginary beans. I'm going to say, hypothetical soybeans. There was this idea, that you were going to see 20 million metric tons of additional production potential. We were going to go from 230 to 250 in South America. That was the conversation 4 weeks ago. And now it's like, okay, it's probably going to be closer to 230 million metric ton. And we lost, 100 million bushels out of the US. And so that's a significant amount of pretend beans to not have in the pipeline. But pretend beans influence trade decisions not just the same. Obviously reality comes into play and things like that. But when you're expecting X amount, like, you're going to make decisions based on X. And when that changes, it takes some time. And that's what we're working through right now, is like, how is this market going to change? And what is the fair market value price now with the kind of shift in dynamics that we got out of Friday?
Got you. I'm following so far. Keep
Point
going. Keep
one. All right. Point two, we got another Trump trade headline or report today. I'm going to go with the Goldilocks theme. Like, the first one was too cold. 10 to 20% on only critical imports would be way too good compared to
yeah.
what traders are expecting when it comes to tariffs and all of that jazz. The second one was too hot. That one was, we're going to punch you in the face with an economic emergency on day one and, steal your girl. Number three, and I think is probably the more realistic one, especially considering the fact that the Bloomberg article really kind of was like, hey, wait a minute, Trump hasn't seen this yet. This is totally without him. This is based on anonymous sources. But it's kind of based in reality, you could say, just in the sense that it's a group of Trump's economic leadership team. Basically, you're looking at your Treasury Secretary nominee, Scott Bessent, and a handful of others that are going to be part of that team, that are saying, okay, we can still do the economic emergency thing, but we're actually going to more slow roll, like 2 to 5% increase in tariffs each month, sort of deal. That type of thing, to where we can really maximize the leverage, where it's like, if you fix this problem, we're not going to raise this 5% next
Yeah.
month. If you don't, we will.
You know what?
And yeah,
I actually, I don't think this is a bad. Look, I'm not. I think I'm with most people here, where tariffs don't do that much, really.
yes,
They're often poorly used. But I think if you are going to use them, doing it this way and saying, look,
makes sense.
the rod's going to get a bit harder every time unless you kind of fix up. I think it's quite an interesting way of doing it. Just
Well, I think,
briefly, as we are talking about
yeah,
Trump, just because the headline has landed on my PIQ Suite platform, obviously the best platform
check it
ever.
out.
Check it
Yes.
out. So Trump will be speaking virtually via a Zoom call, I guess, with Davos next week. And he
Ooh.
in for the afternoon of Jan 23rd. So get that in your diaries because we can expect some language about potentially what he's going to be doing next. So that's
Nice.
next Thursday. So that's also
Give
for
us
our
something to look forward to.
be local time as well. So for you guys over in the States, it'll be Thursday morning. So get that in your diaries for possibly some interesting headlines coming out of Davos via the big man.
It'll be a good time either way. Like I was chuckling this morning a bit though, just in the sense of like this report coming out and then being like, well, it hasn't crossed Trump's desk yet. Like this is a group of his advisors, yada yada yada. And all I can picture is like everyone's like, just let him keep focusing on Canada. Like just let him go do that and we'll
Greenland,
handle this and
Greenland.
we'll, in Greenland, yeah, like Panama, like and those things, whatever, they're fine. But I do feel like I will reiterate again and again, in my opinion, this round of the administration is very different than the last round. You don't have the Steve Bannon effect. You don't have some of these other, off the wall sort of characters that are present and influencing.
More,
And
more
go ahead.
mature version.
Yes, like at 78 or whatever, we're growing up. Like that's what I, but really, I do think that, I think we have factored in a lot of super negative things about Trump coming back in. And I think we have to be careful that when it comes to a level of surprise, right, or when it comes to what could be a surprising aspect in this market going forward, to me right now, I think the market is leaning in the direction that Trump is going to destroy trade. It would be a surprise, obviously, and probably maybe a pipe dream on my part, but still, to where we actually see it improved. And we have seen China come in the last 2 days and buy almost 200,000 metric tons of soybeans for this crop year, which right now you're looking at the Brazil US spread is upwards of $1.20, I think, maybe wider. Where the US is that much more expensive. Now, US beans store better. So, if Sinograin's making purchases or whatever, it would explain that to a certain extent. And on top of that, it's not like when we get a sale announcement, it's necessarily it happened yesterday. Like I think we have to be
Yeah.
careful and recognize that some of these sit in desks for a while. But we have seen a couple different announcements recently of China coming in and buying U.S. beans, even with Brazil more expensive. And Xi is reportedly sending a high level team
Yeah.
to the inauguration.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So, yeah, so a few different things. Now we just have to see if Musk will step in and save TikTok. So,
Oh yeah,
thoughts and prayers for us.
because obviously not many people might not know, but Angie actually has a secret TikTok account where she dances most days with
That's all
various.
I do. Yeah, you know that video of the girl
We can't tell you.
crying and
Yeah,
dancing? Yeah, that's me.
that's the premium service where we tell you what our account actually.
Yeah, it's the interpretive dance of market moves each day. It's pretty fantastic. Quite the following, surprisingly so. But yeah, so that's where we're at. I mean, point three to me is like I think a couple different things, and we're kind of over our 10 minutes here. But point three to me is a couple different factors that I want to throw out there. There's a lot of noise right now about basis, corn basis especially, and corn spreads. And the weakness in the front month and the weakness in the nearby in both basis and spreads. The farmer selling is estimated to be over 60%. Farmer selling the first, basically we're just now 4 months into the marketing year. The farmer is thought to have sold over 60% of their old crop corn already. We have shoved over half of the corn crop into the pipeline in the first quarter of the year. And a lot of people are like, oh, basis is widening, spreads are widening. That's a sign that the USDA, blah, blah, blah. No, if we weren't seeing that, that would be a sign that I would be more concerned. Like to see front month spreads widen, to see basis back off. That's how the cash market's supposed to work. It wants to slow down that flow of grain, but on the same token, I'm going to say, like once it's sold by the farmer, it doesn't get sold again. And so I do think you're going to see farmer selling slow down significantly coming up here pretty soon, and that'll probably change, some of the dynamics in cash that we're watching. But in the short term, that could pressure the market just because it's sending some signals that obviously the pipeline is well supplied. But secondly, on that, when it comes to market pressure, there are probably going to be a lot of folks that, if we do see a bit of a sell off or a back off here, they're going to be like, yeah, it's done. I told you we were topping out, yada, yada, yada. To me, you want to see a bit of a backfill. I always say you can't build a deck of cards straight up. You need to be able to kind of have them come fall apart and then you rebuild with a wider foundation. Super dumb, but it's the best way in my brain to make it work. And so to see a bit of a backfill would not surprise me at all today. And I just wanted to throw that out there to the growers and others who are listening.
Nice. And as we said before, because if we are offering value, we don't mind going over the 10 minutes. Kind of self-imposed time back line anyway. Just a
Yeah, we
quick.
need it.
Yeah, exactly. Just a quick update from me. I know we spoke yesterday about this foot and mouth case that was detected in Germany. They've come out just before we went on the wire, myself and Angie, where they've come out and said they found no new cases of livestock illness of foot and mouth disease within following intensive testing around the area. It was a water buffalo apparently in the
Ooh.
outskirts of Berlin. But just to be on the safe side, it is worth noting that Britain this morning have banned imports of pig meat and other meat and dairy products from Germany to try and prevent the disease from spreading. Now, the UK, we've suffered very badly with foot and mouth in the past, so this is definitely just erring on the side of caution, which you can't blame anyone from that. But just in terms of a number to put on how this could impact Germany, the German agricultural scene, between January and October of last year, 2024, the UK imported, what was it, 117,000 metric tons of pig meat worth just over $500 million. I even put it in dollars for you because that's how nice I am.
Look
So
at that.
any prolonged kind of cessation of imports from Germany could have a sizable impact on the German farmers. And obviously we know Germany's in a bit of a bother anyway, so one to keep an eye on. But hopefully, fingers crossed, that is the last we'll see of the foot and mouth little outbreak that we had. So fingers crossed for those guys. But anyway,
We barely even knew it. Foot and mouth outbreak. It didn't even. It's all the friends we made along the way. That was the real outbreak.
Right. I think we're waffling. Right. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Angie, I can't tell you how grateful I am for you to get on these shows with us. And Angie is also, I'm going to put her in it here. Angie's also going to compile a fantastic list of Twitter accounts to follow that we're actually going to stick up on PIQ platform as well to make it easy for people to, in real time, without having to hit that pesky refresh button on your Twitter accounts. None of that for you column nonsense. Get straight to the point with the agricultural accounts that matter.
I'm so excited to hurt someone's feelings with this too. Like they're gonna be like, "I was left out. She hates me." And I'm gonna be like, "You're right."
I'm gonna get left out. I'm just hoping you include yourself. But anyway, Andy, thank you so much, listeners. Thank you as always. Thank you for the great feedback we've been having as well. We're so glad that we're offering a bit of value and maybe the occasional smile. And yeah, we'll tune in tomorrow and hopefully see you there. See you later.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.